Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic.
And we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then, do it for your children.
Black book is in black.
Black book.
Men Talk, Black Book. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And I'm speaking that at the end of this year or a little bit into 2026, because it's not that far away, we'll be able to say 500,000. So we're looking forward to that. But I'm not there with that tonight. Tonight, we are hanging out on Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. And I am blessed and highly favored to hang out with Kofi Sadat. What is going on?
Greetings. Good evening, my brother. It's all good, all love, all happiness and blessings to our brothers and for our community at whole. So I really want to, bless everybody and thank you for tuning in live. As you say, every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, you will find us here along with our brother Kofi, which, he's probably somewhere in the background, but it's all good. We're here. So it's good to be here. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been another interesting week, never a dull moment, but I always like to start off when we have our conversations. Give me a win from the week.
A win from the week. There were so many things I will say, but definitely super excited, to officially start some work that I've been looking forward to doing. And I'll kind of give people a heads up, in the next couple of years, look out for me. But let's just say initially now, I'm going to be doing a research project on the impacts of African-centered learning in the school system, right?
Oh.
So, and the community-based program. So, how would it matter? Is it impactful? Is it challenging? But it's really been some time coming that we're looking to put some work out there. So we began to start the discussions with the partners. So really excited, and hopefully I can get some of those folks to come on the show and kind of share their journey in it. But I'm happy about it because sometimes you have to be a patient farmer, right, to see things reap. So, but yeah, and amongst that, I'll share some other things. But it was a great win just to start that work up with some good people that I respect and excited to work with. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
I want to say congratulations on that win, because it's not only for you, it's through you.
Right. Sure.
So it's going to be a big benefit. So for those people who aren't used to going through the process to get funding for that,
I hear you.
Should we take that till after the break, or should we start the journey now?
We can start it now. We can start that now.
Okay,
We'll do it after the break. We'll do it after the breaks because I want to know what's your win for the week and how are you're doing, brother.
As I go along in this journey, people call it life. I call it my journey.
Right.
That I more and more appreciate the little things. And one of the things I say these days is we get more emotional. We're more, what's the word I'm looking for? We're more passionate about keeping the things we have than gaining more.
I like that.
As many of us, we go along, like we've earned certain things and we don't want to lose them. So one of the things I'm blessed to do is, believe it or not, I sit as an advisory board member for a virtual CFO company. Right now, here's the ironic thing: First, when I was younger and had hair, my first year of university, my dad wanted me to become an accountant.
Wow.
And I said, oh, gosh. She's like, no, no, thank you. But he was paying for it. Right. I'll never forget going into that. Here's crazy. I actually remember the professor's name at Scarborough College, Professor Abrams.
Wow.
I remember in the first 10 minutes, we sat in the big hall, probably 150 something. He said, take a look at the person to your front, behind, to your left, to your right. By halfway through the first semester, 2 of those people will be gone. I going, this is so inspiring. All right.
No
So,
sarcasm. Go ahead.
yeah, right. So inspiring. And I failed my first semester.
Mhm.
And I made the decision. I said to my dad, I said, Dad, I'm not going to take accounting anymore. I'm going to pay for my university.
Right.
Graduated and all that. So circling back now, being a member of a CFO advisory board, every month they have meetings, and they're in-person meetings, which is great.
Right.
And last month I couldn't make the meeting because I thought it was scheduled to another date, but there was a special meeting they had this week. And during the break, one of the team members said, hey, where were you the last meeting? I said, I thought this meeting was replacing that meeting. I go like, what, did you miss me? She goes, yeah, we miss you.
That's a win, man.
So a 3-second word just had lasting impact on me.
Right.
And it was someone from another culture, which has, and this lady is very sincere and speaks her heart.
Right.
So I felt very humbled that Black man who knows little or anything about accounting, but I add on to the energy of the organization. Someone said, hey, we miss you.
Yeah, that's showing that, in other words, that's value. We're bringing value to that space, right? And when you step away, that value steps away with you. So that was beautiful that, they acknowledge.
So
love
to
that,
hear
brother.
that, especially being addressed to as a Black man, that made me feel very humbled and very happy as a Black man. And I just felt a sense of humble and pride for other Black men during that moment. I was carrying through the week. And I didn't tell the owner of the organization who that person says, nope, not going to tell you.
No.
So that was
that's
one
big.
moment during the week.
All right. Well, I'm going to hold you to something that you said. I want to hear a little bit more about it after the break.
Oh, wow. You're going to catch me on something? All right. All right.
It's it's an open question,
Okay.
around how do we bounce back after failure.
This is good. This is good. All right. All right. So
semester, right?
Okay.
Which is
all right. Okay. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and Kofi Sadat's putting Dr. Vibe on the hot griddle.
This is it. and other folks, they can answer it as well. We'll bring it back. Other folks, right, can answer.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's something for both of us to ponder. All right, we'll be back in 30 seconds. So we have Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala.
Will some of these places stand up and say, no, you can't come to our country? Because if they set that precedent, you might as well set the world on fire.
Right. He literally wrote an executive order defining what womanhood is.
This is the times that we live in now, y'all. You can either be mad about it and make yourself sick, or you can decide what you're going to do with your life and make it positive.
All right, we are back on Black Men Can Talk with myself and Kofi Sadat. And again, Black Men Can Talk is a show where Black men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. A few house stuff, housework, housekeeping. Now, housekeeping, that's the word. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show and hit the notification button if you feel like it. Please, or tell people about it. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service on our show, please email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. All right. Oh, you know what? All right. So also, too, if you got a question or a take for us live, go to callme.road.com and use the code FSPL8L. And what I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to do a little bit of a shared screen so people know what it looks like when they log in to that site. So let me just pull it up here, because I thought, you can tell people what to do, but it's better if they see it.
100%.
All right. So let me also do this. All right. So when you go to callme.road.com and use the code FSP L8L, you're first gonna get to this screen. So when you get to this screen, actually I need to go back, but after you use the code, okay, let me go back a screen. Okay, so there's the screen. So you put in the code FSP L8L. All right, next thing you do, you hit continue. What may happen at first is you may see the echo cancellation may be off. Make sure you turn it on. Make sure it's on. It's in the green. And then all you got to do is put in your name. I'm going to put in Dr. Vibe.
All right.
And then all you do is join call. And I will see on my end that and I will get you into the call. That's it. That's what I wanted to share with everybody.
Dope.
So,
love it.
So people now have a verbal and also a visual of how you can call in. So I'm going to do that almost on every show, because people go, oh, how you can do it? How you can do it? So we'll, over the next few shows, we'll just make sure visually, and people, when they're watching repeats, when they come into a live,
right,
they know what to do. I just wanted to show that today. All right.
There you go. Love it.
You have some questions, or you have some things you want to share, and you may have a question for myself.
Yeah, I do have. I mean, so you did ask me about the funding.
Yes, the funding journey.
The funding journey, which is sometimes fun, but sometimes not fun. But I'll put it out there for folks who have, and this is speaking to the Ontario Trillium Fund. So this is for those living in Ontario. But generally, funding applications are basically the same. You know what I mean? Whether you're, in Toronto, Ontario, across Canada, I think even the States, I've seen some funding things for that. So if you have an idea, right, and usually when it comes to funding, they're pretty particular around. Let's just say you've got an idea to do a podcast, since we're watching, we're on podcasts right now. Right. So there might be a particular fund that will a call, let's say, from an organization, a granting organization. Let's say in this case it was Trillium. They're looking for BIPOC, podcasters, right? So Black, Indigenous, people of color podcasters. They've got a grant of X amount of money. Let's just say $1 million, which is nothing for Dr. Vibe. That's all cheap. But let's just say $1 million. And they're looking for, something focused on, Black women or Black people in comedy, who knows what. So they'll make a call out there. And that's what happened in our situation. They made a call and said, there's some money that's available. And then you have to apply for it, right? So they tell you how much, and then kind of some parameters around what you can do with the money and what you can't do with the money, right? So but from there, it's up for you to use your creative ideas. I know a lot of people like to use the AI, but to be honest with you, creativity, uniqueness is usually the best thing, right? So you can have a parameter with AI, but I would say if you have a great idea, just begin to massage it. And once you do that, I would say a couple of general areas. Think about how much it's going to cost. So there's always a budget that's associated. Like maybe I need money for equipment. I need money for staffing. I need money for social media, right? For marketing. Maybe supplies. We're going to be meeting in public, so we need some money for food, or whatever it is. So there's different stuff like that. Administration. And they usually will let you know the parameters of the money anyways, right? So you kind of think about, well, this is going to cost me X amount of money. And then, like I said, you're developing your idea. There'll be a budget, there'll be a work plan. So I want to do this in about a year. So to move up to that year, what do I need to do before that? So maybe I need to rent a space, maybe get equipment. Maybe I need to come on, the Black Men Can Talk show so I can advertise that I'm going to come up with my own podcast. right? So what are the steps you need to do? So that'll be a work plan. You got a budget, you got a work plan, you have an idea, and those are some of the main ingredients for you to start before you even go out there. Now, even though we got funding, and I think we pay tax dollars and stuff like that, I'm always telling people start with the mentality that I would do this idea even if it wasn't funded.
Good point.
If
What now?
you
What's your reasoning for that?
Well, I think a lot of people um, are motivated by the money, so they will only do things, and usually it's not unique, creative, or passion. You think that you're passionate about, right? So you see a lot of people say, "Hey, well, they've got $1 million in funding. I need an idea," right? Or like I say, you write to the test. And a lot of times we write to the exam as opposed to, being creative, because anybody can just do any regular thing. But what makes your idea and Dr. Vibe's idea and my idea different? Creativity. So as I said, I would do this, you know what I mean? And for those who don't know the mystery, Dr. Vibe and we're not on the payroll. We're doing this as a labor of love, right? For our brothers and our community. Not to say that, it won't be an economical thing eventually, but we're starting in a place from a labor of love. So if you have an idea, and like I said, you would do it, or you're doing it already because you're passionate about it, I believe the chances of your success in getting the funding goes up higher, right? Because as a funder or a grantee, they're looking at the fact that, okay, yeah, there's a proven track record here, right? Or when I start asking questions about the idea, yeah, Dr. Vibe knows what he's talking about. He's put in the work. So I often tell people, do something you're passionate about, and you would do it whether or not you got funded, right? So my idea, I've been very passionate about doing African-centered learning, working with Black youth and their families, and working in the school system to make sure that it's more culturally inclusive, doing rites of passage. So those are my life work and my passion anyways. So to get some type of funding to bring it to another place is definitely good, but do the work because it's out of passion and labor of love, right? So, but I'm going to throw the side question now. What do we do, Dr. Vibe, when we experience failure as Black men? I'm going to say that as Black men, right? And the person that you are, what do you do? How do you overcome that? Because I love that story about the counting, and you're like, ain't gonna work out for whatever reason. I'm gonna go on another path. So what do you do? What advice can you give, personal advice around coming back from failure, which I guess is a natural
Okay. I'm gonna say first of all, great sharing there in regards to grant stuff. And family, you should hire Paul if you're in that situation, because he's got, and just fact, a number of years ago, Paul and I worked on a grant together that we got,
right.
but Paul has I'll say a lot more experience in that space than I do. So I would say if you're, especially you're in the greater Toronto area, but I'm also going to say in Canada, he is a great resource for things like that. And he has evaluated experience. So I just want to build on what he was saying, that, if you are going into that grant space, do you get a team? And to doing it yourself, and you may not need a team all the way through, but there's going to be certain areas that you don't know that you're going to need the help, or you should ask for the help. I don't like giving advice anymore. I like to give suggestions, because if I give advice and it don't work, it's on me. I like give suggestions.
Yeah, man. Good point. You need a team, brother. Trust me, you need a team.
As I tell people, you didn't come in the world by yourself, so why are you trying to do it by yourself?
Exactly.
Another thing I would say, adding on to the grant, and I will get to the failure piece, but it's got, who is benefiting from it? It's got to be bigger than you.
Yeah.
Another thing I would suggest is it's even better if there's a legacy piece.
Love
So
it.
it's not something you do and once it's finished, it's done. If you can show the legacy of it. And you know what? What is up? Norman Otis Richmond checking in. Good to have you here, brother.
You mentioned legacy. There, there you go. Norman Otis Richmond,
Right?
legacy.
Right?
Legacy right there.
Legacy piece
Mm-hmm.
is so much on that. I'm also going to say another thing too. Not only try to get grants, but also see if there's anything available from the private sector.
Of course.
Don't just limit
Yeah.
what you're doing to government funding. And I'll give you a perfect example. The fatherhood organization I'm a part of, yes, we get government funding, but we also get corporate funding.
Of course. As they say,
Don't
diversify.
just limit it to government. And you don't. And people say, "Well, they ain't going to give us." Well, you don't know unless you ask and put your face out there. You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Believe me. Many organizations, especially large organizations, there's money in their budget to give.
Right. Right.
If they don't give it, a lot of times they don't get, like whoever runs that area, they don't do it in their yearly giving. It gets reduced down. So there is no, so you don't know unless you ask. I'll use my example. When I reached out to, okay, let's say when I reached out to Edelman, who's a PR agency for Dove, I didn't know if they were going to do anything.
Yeah.
But if I didn't put myself out there,
Of course.
they wouldn't have known. Another thing too that Paul mentioned, it's good if you got receipts. So if you've got, I always say credibility leads to profitability. So
Sure.
Paul has a long track record of doing passionately what he has been doing, and there are results, positive results, and there's people there to back him up, that he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk.
Thank you humbly for that, brother. And
Yeah.
you as well. I mean, in this realm, you got your receipts. And I'll tell folks again, your greatest receipts, and people don't look at this thing, your greatest receipts are the people that have been touched by your work.
Not only that, I'm going to say that there will people who may be watching say, you know what, I don't got nothing. I haven't done nothing. Your lived experience a lot of times is your best marketing.
Yep.
Right? Have you overcome things? Have you done things? It may not be related to what you may be writing your grant or something, but that there's still a story of success. I did this and this.
Yeah.
Like many years ago, I was at a organization and this lady taught me about, a lot of times, I haven't wrote a resume in a long time, but I had to in that day. But think about it as an acronym CAR. C is for challenge.
Mm.
A is what action did you take? And R, what was the result?
Mm.
Challenge, action, result.
Look.
So a lot of people don't think they have a lot of offer. And many of us, we are our own biggest critics.
Right.
We have to realize that we have a lot to offer and we have overcome a lot of things. Bring those up.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, if I may add, is you are the content expert on your experience. You're the content expert on your experience. Because a lot of people would say, oh, like I said, especially if you haven't, wrote any grants or done any ideas, so and so, if you are a person who, can tell your best story and using that formula, challenge, action, result, you can definitely kind of spin that, for lack of better words, right? Because nobody knows your experience and your perspective better than you, right? So be the content expert on your experiences and your life, right? So often, you can, and that's the Kumba or creativity factor that, again, and we're gonna have some discussions. We're gonna bring in some people who are big in the AI, but I'm always gonna push back and say, as great as AI is, and I use it, the one thing it can't do or emulate is your unique, authentic perspective, right? So as long as you keep that fresh, you're good to go. Dr. Vibe, what about the failure? What do we do,
Okay,
man? We have all these good ideas. We try our thing and it flop. What's the deal? How do we do?
Okay, so I'm gonna go start high level and just off the top of my alleged mind.
Yes.
I'm going to say, what does failure mean to me personally?
Mm.
And just off my alleged mind, failure is when I attempt to put my energies into something that will benefit more than just me,
Mm.
that doesn't come to fruition at that time. All right, at that time. And where did that definition come from? That's come from being on the battlefield. that's where that, because the definition I had 20 plus years ago of success is different now. 20 plus years ago or whatever, I was indoctrinated saying success is how much money you're making from this and that and this and the other thing.
Right.
Now success to me is, well, failure is when I'm not successful in something that benefits some more than just me. For me,
Mhm.
money isn't the mission, it funds the mission.
I like that. I
Right.
like.
So, and I put that at that time because there are things that I have wanted to do and they weren't at the right time, but then eventually they came around.
This is it.
And
It.
failure to me is a learning opportunity. It's a learning opportunity. And a failure is not a person, a failure is a moment.
Mm. I love it. I love that.
I hope that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
sense. I
So
love that.
that to me right now, and also it also has to be for good intentions.
Mhm.
Don't want to leave out that part. You know, I'll go personal here that I don't know if I had mentioned a few shows ago, a close friend of mine, she transitioned because of cancer.
Mm. Yeah.
And and when she was in hospital, I would message her and say, "Hey, you know what? Would you like me to come visit? Would you like me to come visit?" And she never said yes.
Mhm.
And I know other people that visited her, and part of me said, "You know what? I should have just went." But I wanted to respect her. But a
Yeah.
part of me said, "You know what? Could I have done more? Did I fail not doing all I could?"
Mm.
But now, as she is transitioned, now her family is leaning in on me to be a support.
Mhm.
So I am, at the moment, I felt bad, but now, as I said, at that time,
Mhm.
I felt that I was a failure because I didn't, I woulda, I coulda, I shoulda, etc. But now I'm getting an opportunity to um, make a U-turn.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
I'm, as I said, I'm hoping this is making some sense and thought. And so failure for me now is more macro than micro.
Mm. So when you say more macro than micro, what do you mean by?
Macro, when I am not successful with something I feel that is good intentioned, I not only think about how it impacts me, but how it impacts people that I want it to have positive impact on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not just thinking it on myself. Yes, I do take some of it on myself. The thing is, okay, it didn't work. Then I will re-examine and say, okay, what could I have done better?
Mhm.
Did I give my all to it? If I gave my all, then I can walk away. But if there's any way that it could have been better, I say,
Right.
okay, is there any other way that I can come back at it again, better with more knowledge,
Yeah.
to see if we can get the best positive outcomes for the energies that are put out there?
Shay. I love it. I love it.
Just a
You
thought.
know, no, I love it. I love it. You know, it's so aligned because yesterday, um, I went to a funeral going home ceremony for a neighbor's son. Actually, my wife grew up with him,
Oh, my condolences, brother. My
Yeah,
condolences.
yeah. It's So, but the interesting thing was when his brother spoke about his life, because he had a challenging life, and sometimes we don't know where people are coming from until those who are the closest to them give us a little peep into the window of life. And his brother, speaking about his deceased brother, spoke and said, he had always had this pressure on him, and sometimes it's a self pressure
Mhm.
around being perfect, around always winning. And I say that because I know that context for a lot of times, as a lot of us as Black men, it's hard for us
Absolutely.
to accept failure or something not happening in the right time, and we always want to be winning. And that's also coming from the world that we live in, which has some values that are not always aligned with our spirit. It's always what you winner or not, but there's never anything in between. So anyways, it seemed like he had a life, and it challenged his life. He had a life of proving his perfection. But what his brother said, that the real challenge was, and for many of us, is trying to be perfect and in an imperfect world.
Right there. There's a segment right there.
Trying to be perfect in an imperfect world. That
There's your
was
segment right there.
that his brother was trying to do, right? And so we just look at the challenges. Oh, he didn't do that. But when we look at that as the picture, the window that he was looking at this world through and himself through, and again, I'm going to expand it to Black men, Black people, community in general, people in general, right? That why is it that we always have to be in the pursuit of perfection? Why do we always have to win in this time? Like I said, like you said, sometimes this is just not the time, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So, but yeah, it just really hit me when he said that. I was just like, man, it's just like it all came together. It just all
Sure.
came together, right? I didn't know him as well as my wife because she grew up with him, but some of
Sure.
the things I knew of him and some of the challenges, to me, it really just said, wow, if this what was the motivation, right? I was like, man, that we can't be perfect in an imperfect world.
I really appreciate you bringing up this conversation topic. I'm going to make a suggestion that we have at least a part 2 of it. I
Right.
think a group conversation with Black, like right now, I've been doing some research. I got a whole pile of conversation topics right now.
I know you do.
I mean, this is, and I don't want to use too many of them,
Right.
but I'm gonna ask for us in regards to how do cultural, family, or faith expectations shape how we interpret setbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me,
Mm-hmm.
again, when I was younger, there was a lot of pressure to be a certain thing. Again, that accountant thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll even dial it back more when I graduated from junior high school. It was outdoor ceremony, and I was going to be receiving an award in proficiency, which meant excellence in academics and sports. And went up to the front, and it was given to me by at that time, the Minister of Education of Ontario.
Wow.
All right, come
Mm-hmm.
off the stage. Go to my dad. What's the first thing my dad said to me? What do you think?
If I'm thinking of a typical Caribbean dad, something about you could do better or something like that. I don't know.
Well, close enough. Well, I had a Caribbean dad who was a public school teacher.
Right.
So I was expecting him to say, "Congratulations, job well done." The first thing he told me was, when does high school start?"
This is what I'm saying. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the pressures of
Yeah.
and not being able to meet a standard that is defined by someone else or another community or another culture,
Yep.
that failure can run very deep.
It does. It does. It does. Right. And what I say about our parents, which is, very interesting, and I'm sure those who were children of immigrants, is that
Yes.
the coming here to North America or Canada specifically was a whole different reality they were not prepared for. And when I say, and I'm sorry, not prepared to raise children in a society that the values don't always align, right? Or there were things that I believe, like I would say my situation and many other people, there were things that were what I call like the limited choices. So for a lot of us, all our parents knew were three careers. Well, maybe four, we can say: doctor, lawyer, and nurse. I'll throw teacher in there just because, but
Yeah.
really,
Those are the
school,
top three.
those were the
Yeah.
top. Like the end all be all is I want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or for the many of the females, a nurse, right? And unfortunately, for a lot of us, not all of us can be doctors, not all of us can be lawyers, not all of us can be nurses. So I think that pressure of stepping into something that, is not probably necessarily you for a lot of us, but there's a cultural and a family expectation, around what success looks like, right?
Mhm.
So I think again, I'm gonna bring it back home, because I know we're listening, and our focus really is on Black Men Can Talk, even though it's a community, but really, as a brother growing up in the system, what kind of pressures and expectations around what success looks like. I've challenged you, right? And sometimes hindered you, but what has challenged you, right? Because if success only looks one way and you're not doing that, then we go to the opposite and saying that everything is a failure, right? So we're moving in extremes, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and another conversation piece, and we have to have a panel discussion on this with a group of Black men because I know this would be so good. But another question I asked myself is, where do I feel pressure to be perfect or invulnerable, and what
Mm,
does it cost me?
right, right.
You know, so I would say like the cost of failure.
Mm,
What are the different costs of failure? Not just financial, but even more so these days emotionally,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that ripple effect
yeah,
upon everyone. Like more and more, I realize that, and I've come to understand that you don't have to have it 100% all the time.
yeah.
Like I remember a number of years ago, I was working with a potential client, and she said, "Oh, put this thing together." And I said, "Well, it's going to take a lot of time to do. Well, throw whatever you have together and let's go with it." And
Right,
believe it or not, I only had, to me, 60% of the job done.
right.
And she said, "This is perfect."
Yeah.
Sometimes, and this comes up to also a mindset thing. I know Brother Kofi would be great in here about the mindset because that's part of his alley. But that
Yeah.
mindset, I think many of our brothers have been programmed to fail.
Mm, yeah. And you know what's
Not
crazy?
only just different systems, different practices, different things have projected them as failures. If they're not this, they're a failure.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. And again, how does that impact their daily? How does that impact family? How does that impact community?
Community. Oh yeah.
How does it impact? Because there's a ripple effect. And then, we talk about the cycle. Both of us have done a lot of work with Black fathers, right?
Hmm.
And how does that impact their parenting, right? If you feel that you've been, set up to fail, or we end up passing things on to our children, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, right? So how does that impact the way that we raise the next generation? And like anything else, it's about breaking the cycle. How do we break that cycle, um, around, passing on that, and this is to say that we know, like, what you're talking about in society, there are a lot of systems, legal system, education system, a lot of systems that set us up to fail. But within that, where can we find the success, and how can we pass that, resilience and that message on to the next generation? And how can we, I'm gonna put it out there, how can we be humble to get the help that we need? Because I always love when you say, this, it's not just about Black men, but those who love them and care for them. So for those who love and care for us as Black men, how can we, be open to that help? Because that's another thing too, right? It's always, the challenge is being open to the help, especially for those around that can support us in that particular way.
Do you feel, especially with social media these days, that Black men are encouraged that conflict is the way? And
Well,
the reason why I'm
yeah,
saying this, let me give you some context. I was
for sure.
listening to someone the other day, and he said, you got to realize that social media, the algorithms control all.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at a little bit of social media. I don't look at it a lot. And
Yeah.
it's one of the things that makes me scratch this bald head is a lot of times the attention, the likes when it comes to Black men is based on conflict,
Mm,
whether it's conflict with themselves, conflict with other Black men, conflict with Black women. And this person, you brought up a term called, there's a whole new category of people who are conflict entrepreneurs.
wow. Conflict entrepreneurs.
So those are people who leverage social media by showing conflict and to generate likes and or get paid by the
Yeah.
digital space.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think, we've seen it a lot on the level, especially with our young people. Um, and it's been, unfortunately, the catalyst for some of the violence, across, I would say, across the world. Social media becomes a new battleground to, you know, uh, diss somebody or increase the conflict, or what I mean, whatever it is. And then it escalates from the online world to the real world, right? So, or the physical world, I should say, because reality is reality, right? So definitely, I see it as a medium to do that. But on the other extent, I also see it as a medium to reduce conflict, right? To put things out there and have discussions around, not just the conflict, but the sources of the conflict. Like, what is the real source, and then the bigger, influence to the conflict, right? So if, say, for example, like, it's all about the money. Where are we hearing that from? And then we look at, dominant society, and them pushing that as a value. And then if you don't have things, then you're seen as lower, right? So, um yeah, we see the conflicts, playing around. But I definitely see that's something that, now that you framed it in that particular way, I definitely see that whole conflict thing in social media being, a major player in that happening, right? So it's definitely concerning. Years ago, there was a speaker that came to Toronto, called Black Dot. Great speaker. He talks about hip hop, and the history of hip hop, where it came from, right? The origin. But he also mentioned that this society drinks off of our blood. right? Or eats
Yeah.
off eats off our disunity, yeah, and our conflict. They eat off of that. And that's for us
Mm.
to be conscious of that piece, right? So, unfortunately, when somebody gets hurt, you can have the health system come in, you can have the legal system come in, you have the social system come in, right? And you have the media that's going to talk about it and sell papers because there's conflict, in particular when it comes to black men and black boys, right? Or black youth. So everybody eats off of our disunity, our conflict, our violence, whatever it is, right? So that's something for us to be conscious of that, right? And now with social media, as you're saying, that ramps it up to a whole different level, something that we've never had in our history, where instead of me just shouting out the window at somebody or putting on the block or talk, now I can put it worldwide, right? So I can see why the conflict would increase, because now it's 100-fold in terms of broadcasting certain things. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look who's in the house. Black Nerd Talk says Black Thought, the rapper.
Okay. All right.
Was that he maybe suggesting that's the person you're talking about?
No,
That's
not
Black
Black. No, not Black Thought. It's
Okay.
Black Thought. He's a
Dot.
speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
big
Black
up
Thought is
Black
from the
Thought.
Roots.
Big up to Black Thought. You know what I mean? I love that from the Roots. That's one of my favorite rappers. So, hey, what's up,
Oh, he's so
Black
good.
Nerd? How you doing?
Good to see you, Black Nerd Talks. And I did see your message. I've been in and out of the Discord group recently, but I did see your message. So I acknowledge if I haven't been up to date, but I will certainly respond back in the Discord group towards you in regards to communication. Hopefully you're doing okay, because the last time we heard from him, he was traveling back from the United States and he survived.
Yeah, he
So my
survived.
question to Black Nerd Talks, when's your next trip to the United States?
Listen, he's got to keep his movements kind of on the low, so no one can interrupt him.
100%, 100%, 100%. Hmm.
So I don't know if you're tuning in, Black Nerd. We were just talking about the challenges of failure, and how we navigate that in our lives as Black men. We just talked about conflict, and how the social media can be a catalyst for that. But yeah, we want to put out to folks. I don't know if Dr. Vibe, if you can put up the call-in.
Yes, I can. And I have a feeling if I show it to Black Nerd Talks, he may call in. He may call in. So Black Nerd Talks, if you're available, or anyone who's watching live, you got a question, your take, go to callme.road.com, whether that's on a smartphone, laptop, desktop. And I'll just add here too, if you have a smartphone, you can get to that website address by just swiping the QR code. And then when you get to the callme.road.com site, what you do is you put in the code FSPL8L. The letters are all in capitals. Then type in your name and then click on green join call. Also, make sure you have the echo cancellation slid over. And we'd love to hear from you. And just even to say hello to anyone who wants to call in. We'd love to hear from you. So got a comment here. Kofi Code says, big up Brother Norman and Black Nerd Talks. Large up my co-hosts. All right. And Black Nerd Talk says, LMAO, not until maybe the summer. Gotta keep them guessing. You mean next summer, right? Because this summer, actually tomorrow's the last day of summer. Fall starts tomorrow. So
listen, fall started
maybe,
already,
maybe
brother.
yeah.
This weather made fall
I
start
would
already.
actually,
Hey,
Black Nerd Talks, I would love if you could call in, and we'd love to get your experience of how it was traveling in the United States, because it's interesting. I have spoken to some people who've traveled on the United States in the last while. They say it went okay. I would love to know, were you nervous at all?
There you go.
Were you nervous at all? But another thing I would also say that is, so many things. I don't want to give away too much, because when we come the next time, I want to go in hard. So I want to just see
It's all
Okay,
good.
here's a good question
Yes.
related to our conversation. What does enough look like in this season of your life?
Okay, so you've seen the message with
Okay, he says, could you put the
yeah.
QR code? I can tune on my phone. Okay, all right. I'll put it back up. So there you go. There's the QR code. And I'm watching my control here. So if you give it a good swipe, we would love to hear from you.
Right.
And so I'm watching. So yeah, what
But
does enough look?
enough. You know, on a humble way, to be honest with you, as long as myself, my family, my immediate folks are good, and I can, those are the things I believe I have a little sphere of control. But when I say good, people are balanced, energy is good, I mean, and we have enough to live on. We don't have to be crazy rich when it comes to money or other things, resources like that. Definitely for me, that's enough. I don't need to have,
Okay, you know what? Let
yeah,
me just take off some because here's the code. So there's the code.
there's your code.
FSPL8L in capitals, and then put your name in, and there's a green thing you press on, says join conversation. So you're the star of the show right now. So we're waiting on you. We're patiently waiting on you. Hopefully you can call in. So yeah, once you put the code in and put in your name and make sure the echo cancellation is turned on, then press that green thing says join conversation. And
Yeah.
as you see, I'm looking down to waiting your call patiently.
Yeah.
to
And
see when you're
Brother Kofi, if you can put in a health tip, I know that you're probably on the plantation cutting the cane, but throw it in the chat.
comments.
A health tip for the week.
Yes, that would be great. If you could throw that in while you're not able to join us on screen,
Right.
you can join in. Oh, there we go. Black Nerd Talks, is that you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Yes, sir. We
Okay,
can.
maybe I should take my computer off mute then.
right.
Is it echoing? Okay,
No.
maybe I should take my computer off mute.
No. What you so on the
Is
screen?
it echoing?
Yes, it is on the screen that you dialed in on. Slide the echo cancellation over to green. Yes, it is on the screen. Echo cancellation over to green.
Yes, green. Hold on. Hold on.
No. You're good now.
You're good now. You're good now, my brother.
No, you're good. You're good.
This is it. We
Okay,
got to work on the technical
Nerd
things. He'll get it. He'll
Doc,
get it.
can you hear us? Hello, can you hear us?
I think I'm in, but then I can't. I have to put my computer on mute to hear you guys. For me to avoid echo. I think I'm in, but then I can't. I have to put my computer on mute to hear you guys. For me to avoid echo.
Okay, do you have the echo cancellation slid on the road screen?
Yes.
All right, then there's no echoing anymore.
Yes.
Then there's no echoing.
He's trying to work it out.
Okay, so it's fine for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. You good?
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Can you hear us?
All right.
Okay?
What was the question?
No, well, first of all, good to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right. How was your trip?
Thank you.
How was your trip down to the U.S. and were you hesitant traveling down there?
All right. What's your trip?
I kind of hear an echo in the back.
It was good. I didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same. Yeah.
And I guess another question.
Didn't have any issues.
another question I have for you is, how do you handle failure?
Are you able to hear us? I mean, we can probably put it in the
I
comments.
would say I try to see it as, let me move away from my computer. I would say I try to see it as, what can I learn from the experience?
Yeah.
Can you give us an example that a failure of a fail that turned
I don't
into
think God puts us in situations that we can't handle, so I try to see what the purpose is.
Good lessons. Good lessons.
Okay. My next conversation piece, could you give an example of a failure that turned into a win?
I would say just even being fired, and now I'm in school.
I would say I like that.
What are you taking in school?
Educational assistance.
Okay, ironic.
That's the first step.
Okay, ironic. You and I have another thing in common. I was an educational assistant again many years ago when I had hair. I was an educational assistant for 2 years in a public school.
Yeah. So interestingly enough,
Good to know. Maybe I'll need to connect with you on that matter then.
Yeah.
And here's was even more interesting. It was in the Forest Hill area of Toronto, which is very Jewish populated. I have some stories. Let's just put it that way.
Did you teach Drake? We want to know.
Oh, stop it. No, I did not teach Drake, but no. Now this is a whole offline conversation, because another thing for me was that I applied to Teachers College many times, and I didn't get in, and I took that as a failure for many years, even though they were saying they need Black male teachers. And they still are saying the same thing today. Go figure.
Right.
And there are still some people that say to me, who bugged me in the past, saying, you should still apply. I said, you know what? I don't need a classroom to teach. I've got a bigger group of people I can teach, whether it's online. It's not in a classroom. So I'm always trying to teach and serve and learn. So my classroom is a global classroom now.
That's it. I love that. It's interesting that my nephew, he's in Detroit.
I actually applied to Teachers College too, and I didn't get through it.
And the same thing. They're looking for more Black men in the classroom. So I'm going to put it out there. For those who are doing the hiring and whatnot, we need to increase and do what we need to do, right, in terms of getting some more brothers in the classroom. But kudos to you studying educational assistant. We need more brothers in the classroom and in the school system overall.
Okay, let me just see. We've got some comments here.
Thank you. The next step is psychotherapy.
Okay. There are some Black men I know, if you want to be introduced to them, that are doing that. Okay, so Black Nerd Talks, we're gonna let you go, but thank you as always chiming in, and we'll chat with you offline. But thank you so much for chiming in today.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, so as we start winding it down, Kofi Coach, who's with us, says his weekly wellness: brothers, don't estimate the power of quality sleep. Rest isn't weakness; it's a superpower. Consistent sleep helps regulate mood, lowers stress, and improves focus. I agree. There's a fairly popular guy on Instagram. I don't watch him a lot, but anyway, his handle is "Sleep is for Suckers."
Really? Wow.
But sleep is very, very important, Kofi. I can't. Um, yeah, I get a minimum of 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. Now, like when I go to bed, I go to bed quick. Now, when I get up in the morning, I don't get flying out of bed. I'm still in bed, still relaxing. Kofi Coach also answers, it also strengthens your immune system. Protect your rest the same way you protect your grind. I like that.
There you go.
That's a knowledge bomb right there. And Black Nerd Talks, thank you so much for jumping in today.
Thank you.
Brother Kofi, any final conversation pieces today?
Yes. So, I want to big up our sister Koi. I had an opportunity to go to the Hip Hop Fest and, need some more Koi, as she says. She was doing her exercise piece. I loved it, seeing her in the flesh. So I want to give her, the big ups, for that. Also, I was at the Just for Laughs festival yesterday, and I saw one of my favorite comedians, Ron Funches. Crazy funny, crazy relevant. Him speaking about being a Black man and being a father and a whole bunch of things. So for those who have an opportunity here in Toronto, check out the Just for Laughs festival. And again, in alignment with how we started, if people remember, last year it was canceled for the first time. That was a big failure for them. They're coming back this year stronger, better. So there is redemption from that and aligning again, healing and humor. So go out there, check a show, just for laughs. There's a few shows left for the week. That'll be your assignment. Come back. We want to hear the laughter.
All right. So as we close up, our brother Kofi is not with us today, but there's his email information. Get well, stay fit. And then at gmail.com, Instagram at Kofi Coach _ and then at Cosmic Wellness Group also is on Facebook at Kofi Coach. Kofi Sadat, there's his email address, there's his Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc. Also, myself, the easiest way to get a hold of me, I've made it really easy, just one link. taplink.cc/ the Dr. Vibe Show. There's everything: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all those things, all through that one link. And as always, if you want to subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, hit the notification button, hit subscribe and hit the notification button. Also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. So as always, you can also watch replays of this conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Also, Dr. Vibe Show website, and also Paul Osbourne on Facebook, and also lots of places, just a lot of places all over the place. So as we finish off today, like we always do, we say this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith and walk good. See ya.
Time that our parents, they're like, I have nothing to teach you. I don't know nothing.
My dad's at that point now. It says,
That's my point.
But I'm saying, no, Dad, you got lots more to give. You know how cold it is when these two brothers in their yard.
You know that. You know that. You don't know that, bro. You know
No
that.
joke.
I know we all have these things, but you know what? My go-to is this thing.
Wow.
Black book is in his black.
Black book.
Men Talk, Black Book.